You could
Got
legally
about
be
30
denied
seconds.
housing
Wonderful.
for
Thank you. Hello,
LGBTQ+.
everybody.
Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with the fantastic producer and engineer, Mr. Aaron Sommers, on the board. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 12 noon. Welcome in on this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. On a Tuesday, it is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Sun's out, guns out. No, just the sun's out here in downtown Madison.
It's pretty chilly.
It's pretty. If you had the guns out, it would be chilly. So welcome in, everybody. Nice day, nice February day here in Madison. I think most of the state of Wisconsin. Some places yesterday had some snow and freezing rain, that sort of thing, some fog. But all in all, I think traffic, for the most part, looks like things are on normal and on time for a Tuesday. So glad to have you in. Big day, Zommers. It is Tuesday, which means our old friend Luke Mathers, Tuesday Tangents with Lukester at 1:30. Now, I was listening to our good friends Jane and Greg last hour, and God love them, they have a great program over there, and they were so kind enough to talk about to promo our show, our little dog and pony show over here. And I believe the line said Luke and Todd spar on today. Do we do a lot of sparring?
I wouldn't call it sparring. I would say that sometimes there's some disagreement, but it's usually just a fun, lighthearted.
It's fun. It's just fun banter.
Right.
But I mean, we appreciate the promotion, and we get these liners and we read them the way they're written. That made me chuckle. I'm like, wait, did somebody not tell me that I need to put on my sparring gloves today?
I was going to say that gives us the idea of maybe in the future. I know you mentioned mud wrestling with Jane. Maybe you and Luke can mud wrestle.
It would no. Time out. What I had suggested is if it was a tie in the text to win contest, leg wrestling. Not mud wrestling.
That's true. I did twist things. You're right. It was leg wrestling.
That would
if
be
there was a tie.
A very different type of event.
Yes, it would.
As it turns out. But no, it was a great. Greg's been on vacation. He's back today, so that was great. And Jane, you can't do better than that. I mean, she brings it every single day. And so it was they had a great program today. We're actually going to pick up on one of the things in a bit what they were talking about, Elon Musk. Remember him?
Yes, it's impossible to forget.
The dude from South Africa. And we're going to lay this out, kind of connect it. Why is Musk so salty, ornery about USAID and how that relates to what he's doing with the Treasury and a lot of other things? And it turns out he's a very simple guy when you get right down to it.
It does relate, though. There's some backstory there.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. And also, this may be my favorite story of the day later on in this show. All I'm going to say is 3 words: Trump, Hamas, and condoms.
You better stay tuned for that.
That is not a Karnak the Magnificent type of joke from the old Johnny Carson show. Trump, Hamas, and condoms. Later on in the show, where the rubber hits the road. Anyway, so that'll be later on in the show. What else do we have? We got Tom Homan. Remember him?
What a guy!
The border czar. There's gonna be trouble. There's gonna be trouble, according to Tom Homan. Saying flat out, guy is saying flat out, there's going to be violence. Okay.
They've said it before. Yeah. It's just that before you could hand wave it because it was in one of Trump's weaving rants, but now everyone else is saying it too.
Right. Well, as it turns out, he wasn't joking around. He actually is doing these things that he said, unfortunately. But anyway, let's get right to it. Yesterday, in the show, and what's worse, in hour number 2 as well. So you don't want to miss that. So we started the show yesterday with me telling a little story about times gone by when I used to have a Tom Selleck mustache back in the 1990s when I was working for U.S. Congressman Scott Klug and was down in El Salvador meeting with the U.S. ambassador down there and USAID trade officials and helping to do our little part to help cheese producers like Sargento, Governor Evers' hometown of Plymouth, Wisconsin, Sargento cheese, and other cheese producers to sell dairy products in El Salvador and throughout Central America and Mexico. And tying together the Wisconsin impact of these now potential tariffs. In case you missed it, tariffs for Mexico and China temporarily put on hold. And this is the funny part, that because Trump's saying, I'm a big guy here. I'm a big guy. Look what I did. They've agreed to do X, Y, and Z. And the X, Y, and Z in part is Mexico said, oh yeah, we had already agreed with Joe Biden before he left office that we were going to put more troops on the border. And Trump just claimed that he did that. And Canada said, yeah, we had already agreed with Biden to put some more helicopters and things. And Trump goes, oh, I actually did that. So he's using what Biden did, claiming it himself, and then saying, oh, because they backed down to me, now I'm going to hold off on the tariffs for 30 days. And you see, this is how this guy works. It's all about fear, right? So, okay, I was able to save face. We'll give you 30 days. But if you don't do the next thing I want you to do or that I can take credit for, we're going to put another 25% tariff. We're going to put the tariffs back on. There's one entity that does not like unsettledness: the financial markets, as it turns out. They don't like things being unsettled. And so the stock market did not do well yesterday. Lots of people selling things off, putting it in stocks, bonds, or putting it in bonds and CDs, or just plain old cash. Miko Madre likes to say cash is king, then boy, is she right.
I imagine that a lot of Trump's cronies who are smarter than him have seen what he was going to do and thought, this is great. I'll sell off all my stuff now and then buy it when he implements this.
Right.
And when he caves to stupid stuff because he doesn't know what he's doing, I'll buy it again. Or
right.
I'll buy in again.
People are just putting the money in savings accounts and whatnot. So fans of this show, do we have any fans? I'm not so sure. Listeners of this show, that's more accurate. Listeners of this show know that I'm a pretty big CBS guy, and we have not given the story the time it so richly deserves. CBS essentially doing what ABC did and offering to settle this goofy lawsuit that Trump has against CBS because he's ticked off that a story that aired on 60 Minutes made him look not so great. Now, when you do these interviews, by the way, there could be 45 minutes, might be an hour, might be a half hour. But the story we see on any news program, unless it's like a long form reporting on maybe CNN or MSNBC or public television, most of these interviews are 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 15. And so they're edited. So CBS, like they do all news stories, interviews, they edited it. And so Trump is saying, well, you didn't tell all the truth because you edited it, which is just baloney. And so now the Trumpster says, I'll take $25 million. And CBS, Paramount, because they want access to White House press rooms and the like, are now in negotiations to give that to him. So I'm not really happy with my CBS right now, but I was watching CBS this morning, and now it's just called CBS Mornings. And yeah, they spent a little time on the news, but they spent Gayle King is infatuated by Beyonce. So she wanted to spend a lot of time talking about Beyonce and the Grammys. And Tony DeCopel, he decided to pick a fight with Taylor Swift, claiming that she cannot make a homemade Pop-Tart. And they had Alton Brown on to settle this. I'm not making this up. So in the time they spent talking about Beyonce and Pop-Tarts on CBS this morning, here's what they didn't tell you. Although their online news service did report this. I'm going to use the Associated Press story. All right. Headline: Rubio says El Salvador offers to accept deportees from U.S. or any nationality. including Americans. So yesterday I started the show by telling the story of when I worked for Congressman Klug and was down in El Salvador meeting with the U.S. ambassador and did some work for USAID or with USAID. And quite frankly, my relationship with El Salvador over 25 plus years has changed my life and my perspective. I have a soft spot for the country, for the people. But about 6 years ago, this guy, Nayib Bukele, got elected. Now in El Salvador, according to their constitution, you could only have 1 5-year term. And if you wanted to run again, you had to wait 5 years and run again. He brought in the military into their essentially Congress. They call it a General Assembly. And he stood up at the dais at the front of the room and he said, "Let us pray. I am here to pray that all of you do the right thing and amend the Constitution to allow me to run for a second term. I'm going to leave now. I'll let you vote. I'm going to keep my guards here with their armed guns and hope you do the right thing. Let us pray." I'm paraphrasing, but not too much. Guess what? The General Assembly said, "Geez, I think we'll do that." The Supreme Court in El Salvador said, "Timeout. That's not constitutional." And Bukele had the military arrest the people and put them in jail and put new Supreme Court people in. Now, Salvadorans love this guy because he has put many years of gang wars and ravaged the country. And he put a lot of these gang people behind bars, built big prisons. According to international human rights experts, though, there might be up to 80,000 innocent Salvadorans behind bars. Because what he did is similar to what the Trump administration is doing, which is offering a tip line. So in El Salvador, if you had a tip on who might be a gang member, he just called it up, texted it. Hey, military would be there to round that person up, put him in prison. No trial, no nothing. Now you can imagine, well, hey, I think this guy is sleeping with my wife. I think he's in a gang. Boom, gone to prison. That's the kind of, but the country is much safer. So you got rid of the gang problem, but you also got a lot of innocents in jail as well. This is the guy, Bukele, that Marco Rubio sat down with yesterday. And Rubio and Trump have made a deal with Nayib Bukele. Hey, we have all these quote-unquote illegals in our country that we want to get rid of, but some of the countries don't want to take them back. Would you accept them into your prisons? Bukele said, sure, for a fee. Oh, and by the way, would you take United States citizens as well? I'll tell you Bukele's answer on the other side. It's the Allbaugh Show on Civic Media.
And great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
Just some cute little fun stories.
Right. There's some lighthearted things to start the show off today.
Jewelry and Coins is here for you since 1985. Look for the big green awning on the corner of 4701 Monona Drive. Gordy buys your coins, gold, silver, watches, stamps, silver dollars, and paper currency. They buy, sell, trade, and repair, offering top dollar in paying cash for gold. Stop by today and experience the difference. Gordy's Midwest Fine Jewelry and Coins. Call 608-221-4242.
Transform your outdoor space with David J. Frank, Wisconsin's award-winning landscape management company for 65 years. You've seen their beautiful work at Hilldale Shopping Center, from expert lawn care to seasonal flower beds, precise trimming and sustainable solutions. David J. Frank makes your vision a reality. And right now is the best time to prune or remove trees. Request your free quote today at davidjfrank.com and get on their list for spring cleanups. David J. Frank, 65 years of excellence in every blade of grass.
Are you ever questioning when life will slow down? Are you ever thinking of just relaxing and enjoying the simple things? All of this is possible, even while still being in the workforce. Worthington, Minnesota is a town growing, yet it's nothing like metro life. Professional and labor jobs, a beautiful lake, bike trails, recreation, acres of public hunting, festivals, and great people. Slow down. We're just a short drive away, so come join us. Worthington, it's worth a look.
Finding the special healthcare
No,
resources
I mean
families
that's
need
fine.
just
It's yeah. I
got
mean, if you want to
easier.
wait a little while, Tom, we
Wisconsin
could talk about that.
Shelters
I like.
Network
I just want to get
helps
this
kids
stuff
with
about
delays,
Musk and
disabilities,
Bukele
special
and
healthcare
Rubio
needs,
in,
and
and then
mental health
we can switch
issues.
that a little bit later
Call
if you don't mind.
toll-free
But thank you, I appreciate it.
877-947-2929.
In about 15 seconds.
Ask questions.
Walking through a party in the county jail. The prison band was there, they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing that rock.
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 past the hour, 12 noon on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. What a great song! I haven't heard this song in a long time. Jailhouse Rock.
Great song. Nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
Well, it is actually, as you know, we're talking about jails, prisons in El Salvador, a country I know very well. And so here's the deal. A listener, by the watcher, a viewer on YouTube, says, last thing I want is all the expense paid trip to El Salvador. Trip there is free, but probably would have to figure out how to get back on my own. Now, look, I'm not here to beat up in El Salvador. I am nobody's more pro El Salvador in terms of the beaches and the country and the people and the food. It's a lovely, lovely place. It's like my second home, quite frankly. But this President Bukele is, he is a very smart guy and has created partnerships with China in absence of good U.S. policy. China has built their national library. China is building their national soccer stadium. China has helped build some of the roads in El Salvador. It's all transactional with this guy Bukele. According to the Associated Press, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio left El Salvador today with an agreement that the country's president will accept deportees from the United States of any nationality, including violent American criminals now imprisoned in the United States. President Nayib Bukele, quote, has agreed to the most unprecedented, extraordinary migratory agreement anywhere in the world, unquote, Rubio said after meeting with Bukele at his lakeside country house outside of San Salvador, for several hours late Monday. Rubio went on to say, quote, we can send them, and he will put them in his jails. And also, he's offered to do the same for dangerous criminals currently in custody and serving their sentences in the United States, even though they are U.S. citizens or legal residents, unquote. I don't have time in the show to go through the litany of constitutional laws that this breaks. The United States Constitution guarantees certain human rights to every human being, regardless of whether they're a U.S. citizen or not. There are additional rights extended under the Constitution to United States citizens. The idea that a president could single-handedly dismiss the U.S. Constitution and send American citizens abroad to serve their time is reprehensible. Now, people are going to say, well, Todd, it's reprehensible what some of these people did. Agreed. And I believe in certain cases where the DNA evidence is unequivocal, some guy, some guy mutilates somebody's body and sexually abuses them and chops them up and puts them in a garbage can. Hey, fire up old Sparky as far as I'm concerned. Fry him. But to go against the Constitution, that's the problem here, you guys. And you say, well, this doesn't affect me. Okay. What about when it's a black or a brown person, or you know what, just a white dude that's quote unquote causing trouble? You know, those white dudes that are in the United States Department of Justice who are bringing charges against Donald Trump. Oh, we'll send them down to Salvadoran prisons where there are no human rights.
I could even see them expanding the definition of violent criminal to I'm going to use their words for it, not how I believe, a man in women's sports.
Right, sure.
Because that's, physical activity. They could say that that's potentially violent and then
they
get
can,
trans people sent out.
They can make up anything they want. If you once you throw out the Constitution, once you say the Constitution no longer matters, you can do anything you want. And we're not hearing about this on the on legacy or mainstream media. And my opinion is the reason why is because you have major legacy companies like ABC, Disney, and CBS Paramount Global making $25 million settlements with Trump because they want access for their ratings. Here's Marco Rubio, by the way, on getting rid of United States U.S. Agency for International Development. Here's Rubio.
I think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe and not the United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable.
Can it be reformed or does it need to die?
Well, that was always the goal, was to reform it. But now we have rank insubordination. Now we have basically an active effort where their basic attitude is we don't work for anyone. We work for ourselves. No agency of government can tell us what to do.
Really? All right. Whew. Marco Rubio is accusing employees of the U.S. Agency for International Development of rank insubordination. You know what they're doing? You have long-term U.S. servants who are standing up to people who are unelected, unvetted, uncleared to see secure documents. And they're saying, you don't meet the qualification. We took an oath to the Constitution. And because of that, they're being accused of they're insubordinate to a dictator. It's lies after lies with this guy, Rubio. And as I said, Jane and Greg talked a little bit about this last hour, and we're going to get into a little bit more. This story that Elon Musk and his handful of people are now having access to not only reading code that oversees government payments, but writing it. Elon Musk is originally from South Africa. As it turns out, USAID was one of the main U.S. organizations that assisted the anti-apartheid movement and supported, Todd, it'll come to me in a second. Supported the anti-apartheid movement. And it changed the way Elon Musk grew up in white privilege. Elon Musk is bitter at USAID because it got rid of the apartheid movement in South Africa. That's why he's taking it out. It's a personal grudge. And it also turns out Elon Musk is just a thief. We'll explain that. Tuesday Tangent Lukester. I'm wearing all white today because it's a whiteout at Badger basketball. Talk about that. Take your calls. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's Real News and Great Conversation.
All I could say was Mandela Barnes. That's not right.
Yeah,
Nelson Mandela. Oh my God.
I couldn't think of it either.
Oh, screw a duck. All I could think of was Mandela Barnes.
And some of that is thanks to challenges in South America right now.
Me too.
I hate that.
And you're listening
when you get the wrong
my
name.
brain just freezes.
Market advisor John Heinberg from Total Farm Marketing says wet weather and sheer abundance has made logistics difficult for our competitors in South America to move grain. That's price supportive for growers here at home.
The reason that supports the soybean market is we just can't get those beans to the ports down there to provide that competition on the export front. And when when those exporters need those beans, they raise prices, encourage producers to try to get them there. And as bean prices go up, our prices go up a little bit. So we got some tide there. So we're watching. The other problem they're having, this crop is so big down there, the logistics of handling this supply has kind of plugged up the system in terms of getting things where they need to. And then maybe until that gets straightened out as well, it just could be a little bit supportive of this market.
John Heinberg, along with us from Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend. Stick around for a look at our midday commodity prices coming up next.
Join fabulous farm babe Pam Yankee at the 2025 Corn Soy Expo on February 6th and 7th at the Kalahari Resort in the Wisconsin Dells. Pam will be broadcasting on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. with Compeer Financial, located in booth 409. Leave with more knowledge and connections with the
I'm going to hear some. So CNN, the Lincoln Project retweeted this. I'm going to assume that means it's real.
All right.
But I'll play it for you now. So
it's all about
this is allegedly audio of RFK Jr. that CNN uncovered from November.
At the Corn Soy Expo in the Wisconsin Dells.
You know, one of the things that you write so beautifully, and your stuff is so fun to read, but you write about Trump. Quote, the way that you build a truly vicious nationalist movement is to wed a relatively small core of belligerent idiots to a much larger group of opportunists and spineless fellow travelers whose primary function is to turn a blind eye to things. We may not have that many outright Nazis in America, but we have plenty of cowards and bootlickers. And once those fleshy dominoes start tumbling into the Trump camp, the game is up.
All right, thanks. That's enough.
It
I mean, it's fine. It's just RFK.
It's inflammatory. We don't need it.
Well, yeah, it's just. I mean, he's done. Everybody caved. He's done. So I don't want to. Somebody uncovered some alleged audio of RFK Jr. basically saying that if people are rubes and idiots, and if you hoodwink them in, they'll do anything. I mean, okay, fine. But I mean, what's new there? What's new? I mean, it's just. It's the same thing with Trump saying to Oprah Winfrey years ago, if I ever ran for president, I'd run as a Republican because they're stupid.
I'm Stephanie Ha.
This
It already happened.
Local civic media radio station. Want to hear even more?
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody.
Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
You were saying that though?
Partly cloudy and chilly today.
I don't know. It was CNN and then Lincoln Project retweeted it. I'm not sure where the audio came from.
About 10 to 15 degrees cooler. Those will ease tonight and we get warmer tomorrow, bringing a chance of snow in the afternoon and a wintry mix overnight. I'm
Andy Kaczynski, CNN senior politics reporter.
The John and Gordy Show.
We're talking with Dr. Tim Slecker. You know, we've been on AI for a long time.
What can you now do with data? You know, ask AI, say, based on what we know about Gordy, and based on what we know about the job market, what should Gordy do for the rest of his life?
Send him to broadcast school. He's worthless.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. The Maggie Dawn Show.
There are solutions to the rot in the Supreme Court, and it's a congressional binding code of ethics. There are solutions to the corruption. It's a constitutional amendment to declare that money isn't speech and corporations are people, and we can do this.
30 seconds.
These are things that Americans agree on no matter.
Radio Network. It is 34 minutes now past the hour of 12 noon on this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Glad to have you along. Zommers on the board. If it's Tuesday, it must be Tangents. Our old friend, our colleague, you know him, you love him, Mr. Luke Mathers. Lukester, how the heck are you?
I'm doing well, Todd. How are you doing?
For a Tuesday, not bad at all. Now, we did not plan this. We are both in our Wisconsin gear for those watching on YouTube and Facebook and butterfly Twitter and all those other things on the live stream.
Butterfly Twitter.
Well, that's Blue Sky and Twitter combined.
Yeah.
Not yet. They don't do live streaming yet.
Anyway, I have my white. I bought this specifically for a football game a couple of years ago. I have my white Wisconsin gear on. Luxtra has a very nice quarter zip gray Wisconsin
I didn't
top
know.
on.
A, I didn't know it was a whiteout tonight, and B, what was I going to say?
I had that moment a couple of minutes ago, and I'm like half your age. So
it's okay. I'm just dealing with you're half my age. You're right. Yeah.
No, you're half my age.
But I was not planning on matching it, but it's game day today.
It is game day, and for those lucky enough to be in the beautiful burgs of Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Racine, Kenosha, and Richland Center, you can listen to it across the airwaves on our stations there. Wisconsin takes on Indiana tonight. The broadcast starts at 7 p.m. Tip-off at the Kohl Center, 8 p.m. I am fortunate enough to know people that have tickets. My good friend Jeff Daniels, he gets season tickets, and his lovely wife Vicky, who's a wonderful person. They do a lot of things together, but she's just not a huge basketball fan.
She's like, "Hey, Todd's available. Yeah, take Todd."
Right. So
Todd.
she says, "Hey, get out of the house once in a while," and so he runs through his and so once in a while I get put in the rotation,
There you go.
and I get called up. So tonight's one of my lucky nights. So I'm going to the whiteout. So I thought I better dress appropriately.
There you go.
So
well, hopefully you have a blast. Hopefully the Badgers take home a W, and they can get back on track with the Big Ten play.
Yeah, I did. You watch the game over the weekend? It was the Northwestern.
I saw parts of it.
Yeah,
I saw
great
parts of it.
game.
We were doing Sun Prairie has a big groundhog. Weekend full of groundhog. Some friends of ours and I, the four of us went out to the Groundhog Open, which is a bar crawl from bars across Sun Prairie where you do little putt-putt holes. And so it's a bar crawl, but you also got to keep the scorecard with you, have your golf ball with you. And there's a lot of people dressed up. We didn't dress up, but we had some fun. We were playing a little putt-putt, drinking some beers, and we watched the Badgers in the background.
Why was this not told to me before Groundhog Day on a previous edition of Tuesday Tangents? And
I didn't know that we were going last Tuesday. I don't think. Like it came across one of I think it was I was the one that found it.
Make sure you don't tell Todd because we don't want him to go with us.
Well, we had our foursome set, so I think we found out on Thursday, and I texted some friends of ours. They were like, yeah, we were already planning on doing kind of an adult stay because they were planning on a babysitter because they got two little ones. So the four of us, Kelsey and the two of them and I, we played some putt-putt, and I kicked some butt. I kicked some
Congratulations. Kick some butt of the putt-putt.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get back to Groundhog Day in a second.
All right.
But I want to kind of button this last subject up because we told people after the break we'd follow up on something. So the story we led the show off with a couple of things. That Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, was down in Central America in El Salvador yesterday. He's made a deal with Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele to not only accept deportees of other countries from the U.S., but actually now, as it turns out, hey, you got a U.S. citizen you don't want, bring them on down to El Salvador. We'll be happy to put them in our prison. And going along with that, you've got Elon Musk kind of overseeing this shutdown of USAID. And I said, and of course, I couldn't think of it, like I said earlier, as a Trump, Musk is from South Africa and grew up during the apartheid. And USAID, as it turns out, was one of the main governmental entities from the United States that teamed with the Nelson Mandela folks to help end the apartheid movement and end apartheid in South Africa. Oh, geez, that really sucks for a white dude like, Elon Musk, as it turns out. So he's a little bitter at USAID for taking away his way of life.
It sucks in the easiest way to define that word, though.
Sure, it was tongue in cheek, obviously.
That's the thing is his family still owns emerald mines in South Africa.
He's bitter he had to share with the majority of South Africa.
Yeah, and so
he's a trite person.
It was very.
Trite's not the right word. Go ahead.
I think it was a little shocking that USAID was the first target because this is pretty early here.
Yeah,
and we're only days in.
And most people don't know about this agency.
This is only day 15. And if you're looking for quote unquote government efficiencies, sorry, this is not where you're going to be saving American taxpayers. It is just foolish to think that this is a sound attack. We've had both Republican and Democratic presidential administrations praise the work that organization does around the world. It is a good thing for us to be working with allies and developing nations throughout the entire globe and to dismantle it, take it apart, and say, hey, we're going to stop funding these things in the name of government efficiency, or even worse, as grinding an axe against what happened in South Africa is ludicrous.
It goes beyond his personal grudge against USAID for Elon Musk. It goes to this other story that I was saying that Jane and Greg had talked about on their great show, Matt and Aaron on Air, which airs every morning from 10 until noon before us. But there's a reporter here, Nathan Tankus, who writes this great piece called Notes on the Crisis. And he has a long piece, a great article. You can find it at Notes on the Crisis or at Nathan Tankus, Tankus. And we're going to summarize more of this, I hope, in the next hour here. But just the highlight here, specifically this guy, Marco Elez, 25-year-old, all at 25. He's a former SpaceX employee, as it turned out, has read and write access for the Payment Automation Manager, better known as PAM, and Secure Payment System, SPS, at the Bureau of Fiscal Services. PAM processed $4.7 trillion of payments in 2025. This dude is unelected. He is unconfirmed. He is unvetted. He has no security clearance. Remember, the Department of Government Efficiency, they call it DOGE. I'm going to start calling it Doggy. Doggy is not a real thing. It wasn't created by Congress. It's not a real thing. And this guy has got his minion in there, as Jane said. He has control over $4.7 trillion. And it reminds me, Luke, of one of my favorite, Christmas movies, Die Hard, when Holly confronted Hans.
For all your posturing, all your little speeches, you're nothing but a common thief.
I am an exceptional thief, Mrs.
I'm an exceptional thief. At the end of the day, Luke, he's just a bitter guy, a small guy, and a thief.
Yeah, the seemingly looting of what our Treasury Department does, and deciding that he's going to play God for who turns on the spigot and who turns off the spigot at his whim is the craziest aspect. Nobody voted for Elon Musk. No one. And for the fact of all of for my entire life, I've heard about George Soros, this billionaire, this millionaire that's
Democrat.
behind the curtain, the Democrat billionaire that's pulling the strings. Elon Musk is going and doing all of the things that the right wing feared was happening, that ginned up this imaginary villain in their heads.
Accusations.
And they have now, they're sitting front row. And for a lot of these folks that decried those accusations, they're just watching this happen without as little as a peep of criticism against Elon Musk.
I want to play this cut, get your take on it, Luke. This is, I've really come to like this guy. I didn't know a lot about him. The story in Political turning me on. I've read more about him. Brian Schatz, Democratic senator
great.
from Hawaii.
Senator Schatz is great.
Like this guy a lot. Here were his thoughts. I believe this was yesterday afternoon on the Trump administration essentially closing down or merging USAID into Department of State.
If you want to change an agency, introduce a bill and pass a law. You cannot wave away an agency that you don't like or that you disagree with by executive order or by literally storming into the building and taking over the servers. That is not how the American system of government works. That's number one. Number two is, it is true that there will be suffering all over the world. There already is suffering all over the world as a result of this. But it's not just that. It's that instability from starvation and disease will visit us in the United States of America. There is a reason that U.S. aid is an arm of American foreign policy, and it is because we understand that a stable world means a stable America.
Democratic Senator, U.S. Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii, Luke Mathers, again, whatever people think about George W. Bush, fine. But even the most liberal person in D.C. and other places will say, you know what? What he did with PEPFAR through USAID in Africa has saved millions of lives. But even if you don't care about other people's lives, to Senator Schatz's point, eventually this will visit U.S. shores.
Yeah, it is the giant meme on the internet of I didn't know that for people that are supporting the leopard or face-eating leopard party, they're like, oh, so shocked when all of a sudden the leopards ate your face. It's eventually it comes around. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's in the name. And so, yes, a lot of these things boomerang. I think the senator is on point that there are going to be ramifications from this dismantling of USAID to the federal freeze for funding. We're seeing programs here in Wisconsin. There is a Head Start program in Waukesha where families are right now lost without that service because it shut down, because despite the fact that the confusion around we're going to do a giant freeze. Oh, wait, we're not going to do the freeze. Just kidding. Oh, wait, we were kidding about kidding. And now it's this whiplash of these agencies, these organizations, everyone from top to bottom, not sure of where things stand right now. This instability trickles down and it leads to a Head Start program in Waukesha County that is currently closed. And those families do not have that service that they depend upon so that they can go to work, so that they can make sure that their families are taken care of. Those are the real world ramifications that we're not going to just see in an isolated incident once in Waukesha County. It's going to ripple through, and we're going to continue to see these things over and over and over again. And it is clear that there needs to be somebody in Washington, D.C. that stands up to this, but it is disheartening that over the last 15 days, those people have not yet emerged.
Again, Jane and Greg were talking about this on Matt Nair on Air. I think it was Sean Fettiplace was talking about just what you were talking about, that there are institutions within Wisconsin that affects kids and families who are shut down. I have friends from my former life in politics and government in both the Department of Justice and I know people in military, people in agriculture. It is chaos right now across these agencies, these federal agencies or agencies that rely on federal money or assistance. And to Senator Schatz's point, look, I don't begrudge if Donald Trump wants to change things now that he was elected. That's his right. But there's orderly ways to go about it that have to be followed. In particular, this little thing called the Constitution. And once you throw that out, and I know I've tried really hard not to use this word as much as I did before the election, but there are reasons I used the word authoritarian leading up to the election. And this is the example of it.
Yes. Unelected individuals like Elon Musk just being given a green light to loot and ravage whatever they want to do, unfortunately, is a symptom of authoritarianism.
Back with more Lukester after this is the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. That was good. What do you want to do next? We'll do a quick Mark Tall, and then what do you want to do? You want to do grinding gears? You want to do
dry AMD?
All right.
You may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy.
Talk about the Bucks 4-game losing streak. I'm not sure I want to do that. Yeah, let's do Mark, and then we'll do some grinding.
There's something you can do to
slow it down.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
That's for, according to Mike Clemens, and I would never
Izervay
question Mike
or
Clemens.
avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy.
If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma,
this approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs,
I might
and
have
no
mesothelioma.
downtime. To find out if you're
I can finally
viable
talk
candidate,
again now,
you
though.
may
I can feel
request
my
a free
face.
consultation
That's good
from
since you're on the
our
radio.
Yeah, I was
by
worried.
calling
I
608
got some dental work done this morning.
Did you really?
Yeah, I couldn't feel
Instead
at
of
all this
masking
side
the
of my
symptoms,
face.
it goes
You
to
can
the
have
root
coffee
of the
now.
problem
I can
to
have
resolve
coffee
it
now.
at its
Luke
source.
Mathers had
Already
dental work
used
done.
That was what my giant gap was there. I haven't had any caffeine yet today.
About
You
20
just feel
seconds.
All right. Welcome in to Luke Mathers' post-dental mind. As the Novocaine wears off, these are the voices he hears. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show, 8 before the hour of 1 o'clock. Coming up in hour 2, what's worse? Are you a high energy or a low energy person? We'll discuss it in hour 2.
Well, which one's worse?
Well, what's worse?
Yeah. So you gotta be careful how you're framing the question.
Well,
there.
that's true. That's true. You're a little low energy because you
I
have
am
dental
a little-
work done
I
today.
did. So I haven't had any coffee yet this morning. I can feel. I had a little numbing work done for the filling, and I can feel my face again, which is great.
Well, that's good.
It was right before we jumped on the air. I was like, "Oh, cool. I'm good. Good to go." So I'm gonna go get myself a cup of coffee after this.
Oh, very good. Our friend and colleague Luke Mathers here on the show on a Tuesday tangent with Lukester. Going to do some grinding of gears, but first let's go to the phone lines, 855-752-4842. Mark in Perdisac. Mark, thanks for holding. What say you?
Yeah, are they coming in with armed troops to actually, when they come into these agencies, and or are these young little bucks coming in and just pushing their way in and
that's a great question, Mark.
Season control.
Yeah, Mark's talking about this. We talked about that the Trump administration is seizing USAID, and I have not seen any actually armed guards, but they are security people that are.
It seems like, Mark, that there was some back and forth about personnel and who was able to get into these offices. I don't know if I don't believe there's any armed escalations, but there were some career Treasury officials that were pushing back against Elon, insisting where his staffers were going to be placed, and it was one of the reasons why we lost a top career Treasury official. They resigned over the weekend. Or in the past couple of days, because they did not agree to it. And so it was kind of, if you're not going to give the admin permissions to these staffers, we'll replace you and find somebody who will.
Well, I mean, but what gets me is that has been said. I mean, none of these guys have security clearances, and who knows? They haven't been vetted. Who knows what they are doing with this information? It's been brought up again and again, probably, but. These guys, that for all we know, they're sticking their little thumb drive in there, and then they're going and selling this information to some Nigerian prince so they can steal people's identities. I mean,
or Russia, or China,
or Russia, or whatever. I mean, I bring up the Nigerian prince because that's the thing you see on the internet all the time. Well, I'm a Nigerian prince, and I'm, if you give me this, if you give me $100, I'll give you $3,000.
Right.
Oh, they always ask for way more than $100 from me, Mark. You're lucky. You get off easy.
I once had one of those people on the phone, and I kept them on the phone for a good 20 minutes, just just stringing it out. and then I laid down a line I can't say on the radio, and boy, did they take a turn.
Yeah, it's because if I was there and doing this, I'd be giving these little punks an earful. I
Right.
mean, that because what do you got to lose at this point? And if they take a swing at you, that just say, well, have that little person arrested
Right.
and thrown in jail.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the call as always. 855-752-4842. Look, 5 minutes before the hour. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks because we get sidetracked.
We
and so
do.
I want to make sure that we get on a tangent, as it turns out.
Yeah.
What's grinding your gears, Luke Mathers?
All right, so I got to preface this because I don't want any haters getting mad at me about it. But
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. I'm a dog person, 100%. I love my dogs.
Yes.
I hot take. I think there are too many dogs in my neighborhood now.
Oh.
There are too many
Says
dogs.
the man that just
I know.
bought a second
No,
dog.
I bought her a year ago.
Oh.
Like we've had people move into the neighborhood. There's been like other people getting new dogs too. I don't know how to exactly regulate this, but there are too many dogs in our neighborhood. And I don't know what to do.
Who is the violator?
Everybody's a violator. They all are barking at everybody. There's just like I can't go around the block anymore without like every other window in the neighborhood has dogs coming up to it just bark. And I know that my dogs are also offenders. Like they're barking more. There's just too many dogs in the neighborhood, and there's constantly somebody always walking. So it's just. If anybody's got any tips for how to keep your dogs from barking at other dogs through the windows, I would love to know. But we were on a meeting yesterday. I don't know if you heard them, and they lost their. They were barking like crazy. Okay, well, it's good that you.
I didn't hear. I have bad hearing though.
That's fair. Zommers, did you hear him on the meeting?
I did not.
Oh,
I think Zoom and other similar meeting software has gotten pretty good at canceling out dog barks.
You realize this is the very definition of pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know. Do I have to move? Is that what I have to do? Do I have to go find a neighborhood
Luke Mathers, who now
that
has
fewer
two dogs, says
Do.
he was grinding his gears is that the neighborhood has too many dogs.
I don't know if other people are experiencing this or not, but there's just so many dogs now. Like every single house, and no house just has like one dog either. Like
Which brings up an interesting topic. There are some communities like my hometown Richland Center now that have banned having, like, when I was on city council back in the day, we allowed up to 5 or 6 hens if people wanted to raise hens, in their yard. But now, oh my God, we can't have a chicken and the price of eggs. So we're telling people you can't have a chicken. What does a chicken do?
No, I think the problem
And
is
then you got
bird flu,
dogs
though, is
doing
the
this.
problem.
Well,
I don't think it's
you ever
just
had
that
dog
nobody's-
flu? Like, think about it. Do people say, "Oh, I'm sick as a bird"? No. I am sick as a dog. That's what people say.
Hey,
nobody's getting bird flu.
You wanna
People
know
are
how-
getting sick as a dog.
You know how you avoid high price of eggs? Just shop locally. We've got a farm in Sun Prairie that we purchase ours. It is a great place to get your eggs, and you don't have to worry about the
Crap.
rising
Wait, we got
costs.
time for the Punxsutawney Phil, the second one where Josh Shapiro's going crazy on PETA.
No, we really
No,
don't.
we're too close.
Oh.
We're too close to the end. Sorry.
Stick around for the. Can you? You can't.
I can't.
You're right
You
down the
gotta share-
hall.
I know, but I'm loaded up.
Jimmy the Groundhog says it's going to be an early spring in Sun Prairie.
Yes.
But stay tuned. In hour number 2, this is the kind of Democrats we need. People who will stand up for groundhogs. Thank you, Luke Mathers. Hour 2 is straight ahead on Civic Media. Now, see, that's the way it's done. That was a fabulous tangent. One of the best ever. Nicely done. That was nicely done.
Takes 2.
Yeah.
All right.
What is that doing to Wisconsin's
There are
farmers?
too many
Darren
dogs
Von
in my
joins us.
neighborhood.
Don't miss it.
Matinee on air. Weekday
Oh
mornings
my
at 11.
gosh. That was
Equability offers
fantastic.
custom-tailored
That
clothing for
really
those with
takes the
dexterity
cake.
or mobility challenges. Plus, first-time shoppers get 10% off. Use code CIVIC10 at checkout. Visit equability.co, equability.co to make your clothes easier to wear today.
Line Shot Social Club, a perfect blend of cool, casual
Nicely
dining,
done, Luke,
indoor
sir. That was
golf,
fantastic.
Space for events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's East Side. Line Shot Social Club, open to everyone. LineShotSocialClub.com.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us. This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination for Secretary of Health and Human Services has passed its first hurdle. The Senate Finance Committee approving his consideration. The vote was along party lines, 14-13, and helped by Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who originally said he had reservations, but Kennedy gave him assurances.
We'll meet or speak multiple times a month. This collaboration will allow us to work well together and therefore to be more effective.
A group of FBI agents who assisted in January 6 criminal investigations filed suit today in an effort to block the Justice Department
Dave from New
assembling
Berlin
lists of
says
agents for potential disciplinary actions or firings. The first flight carrying migrants to Guantanamo Bay is planned to arrive today.
All right,
Defense
Dave,
Secretary Pete Hegseth has said
take a
previously
breath.
that those
Take a breath.
facilities would
It'll
be
all
used
be
to house,
okay.
quote, the
We're going to
worst
talk
of
about
the worst
groundhogs
in
in the
terms of
next segment.
criminals being
This is
deported.
fantastic.
Sources confirm that President Trump is
We were going to
planning
get to this
attend the Super
yesterday,
Bowl in New Orleans
and I was
this
going to do it with
weekend.
Luke, and
This
I
is
forgot
ABC
until the
News.
end. So we are going to groundhogs.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Jimmy K texted in on the app about the song that I played, "Too Many Puppies" by Primus. Yes, you were right.
That's great. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. There's an Amber Alert still active
Too many
for a
puppies.
16-year-old from Wisconsin. Sophia Franklin was last seen at her home in Beaver Dam Sunday night. Authorities believe she's with the adult man who got her pregnant. He's 40-year-old Gary Day. The age of consent in Wisconsin is 18. There's a no-contact order against Day, barring him from talking to Sophia, but he was last seen at her home Monday morning. Police believe the two of them are in a black 2014 Buick LaCrosse with Arkansas plates BBR20L. They think he's heading south with her. We have photos of both of them on our website. You can head to WMDXradio.com. We've also got those photos on our Civic Media Instagram account. Anyone with information on the two of them is asked to call the Beaver Dam
I look like
Police
Brett
Department.
Bielema in this outfit.
Does it feel like everybody you know
Because white
has gotten
doesn't
sick
slim you,
lately?
it shows
Well,
that
that's
you
not
need
just
to
a feeling with
lose some
anecdotal
weight.
evidence. There are all kinds of things spreading right
To
now.
my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares.
It goes on from there, but this is just so good.
Has more outbreaks than any other state in the country this year.
We definitely got to use that one. It's so good.
Nationally, this is the worst season for the spread of norovirus.
And you should clip that and put it in our
But that's
rotation.
not the only
Yes,
bug
absolutely.
making its way through the population.
To be
All
brought
kinds of
out
things are
occasionally.
getting people sick right now. Here's Melissa Kay.
Call
Respiratory illnesses
somebody
are
who
increasing in the
cares.
state. The Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services says flu hospitalizations are the highest they've been in 7 years. This is especially true for older adults. DHS says it's not too late to get a flu and COVID shot and an RSV vaccination if you're eligible. Everyone should also be following recommendations of washing hands and staying home when you're sick.
The best way to find a vaccine is to call your doctor's office or your local pharmacy. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
I watched a
You're
movie
listening
last
to
night that
92.7
a prominent
WMDX
feature
News.
of the plot was Robert Pattinson masturbating.
The Bucks lose in OKC. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Milwaukee Bucks lost
What?
their fourth game
Yep.
in a row. This time in
Yep.
What was this movie?
It's called The Lighthouse. It stars Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and it's them in like the 1890s. They get cooped up in a lighthouse together to, tend to the lighthouse. It's all in black and white, and they're basically just trying not to go crazy as, the people who are supposed to relieve them don't show up because the storms are too bad. And they start drinking turpentine, and it's like, maybe you shouldn't do
What
that.
are you watching tonight? Zombers is watching a lighthouse movie.
Made by the same guy, or directed by the same guy who directed the new Nosferatu movie, and they're both pretty weird.
I would like to see you discuss that with Pete
With Pete
Schwab.
Schwab, I'll have to talk to him about it. I'm sure he's seen it.
Yeah. For Chiefs Isaiah Pacheco with sports, I'm Mike
I looked up an interview with Robert Pattinson about that movie, and he said, I just didn't think I could get into the role enough without actually doing it. So that scene is actually me.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Cloudy and chilly today, with high temperatures
Oh
topping 20 degrees and
my
feisty winds, taking us back to really feeling
So
about
yeah.
10 to 15 degrees cooler.
mhm.
Those
These are the
east
things
tonight
you
and we get
learn
warmer tomorrow,
during
bringing a
commercial
chance of snow in the
breaks.
afternoon and a wintry mix overnight. I'm
This is
meteorologist
pretty much the way
Brittany
this show
Lau.
goes
Currently,
every
it's
day.
19.
It was the pre-show. We just talk about things like this.
Transform your outdoor space with David J. Frank, Wisconsin's award-winning landscape management company for 65
Yeah, about
years.
20, 30
You've
minutes
seen
into
their
the
beautiful
movie,
work in
my
Hilldale
roommate
Shopping
Parker and
Center.
I just turned to him and I said, you know, for a movie about lighthouses, I expected a lot less masturbation.
Solutions. David J. Frank makes your
Like
vision
none.
a reality.
As most of us
And
would.
Right now is the best time to prune or remove trees. Request your free quote today at davidjfrank.com and get on their list for spring cleanups. David J. Frank, 65 years of excellence in every blade of grass.
The John and Gordy Show.
We still think we have a ghost in the building here because the lights keep going on and
Yeah,
off.
what is that all about? You know, that I thought I saw that ghost. Looks very much like a cleaning guy.
That is our cleaning
that's
guy.
the cleaning guy. He feels his responsibility of cleaning this
Jeff
office.
Perry says,
Even in the
I hate it when a movie jerks me around like that.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media
Come on.
app. T. Schwaba.
On the next night, welcome to Civic TV
Seconds.
GBW rock star Nikki
On what?
Zombers just got that on tape delay.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 6 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program on this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcome in. Little clouds moving in here downtown Madison to block off the Capitol Square. Zommers on the board, but still all in all, pretty nice, Zommers. I am in all white today for those watching on the stream, my Badger gear, because tonight, heard across much of Civic Media on stations like those in Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, Racine, Kenosha, and Richland Center. You could hear the Badger Radio Network, Matt LePay and Brian Butch call Indiana. The Hoosiers take on the Badgers of Wisconsin at the Kohl Center. 7 o'clock pregame show, 8 o'clock tip-off time. And if you're not in one of those communities, you can still listen to the broadcast free of charge. Just download the old Civic Media app. You can do it on your Apple or iPhone. Why do I say that? On your Apple or Android device, simply go to your app store, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C. It pops up. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. Maybe I should stop using that line now because I'm a little salty at CBS these days.
Maybe this is your way of boycotting CBS. Is stop mentioning Gail King every day.
But I do love me some Gail King. You know,
I'm sure she didn't make that choice.
No, I'm sure she did not. All right, so so I'm dressed. I'm going to the game tonight with good old Scan Dan to the game. It should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Badgers got a big win over the weekend. Big comeback game for Happy Gilmore. Not really happy, but great game down at Illinois. A big comeback win. Badgers try to keep the win streak or make it 2 in a row here against Indiana tonight. Tip-off time at 7 p.m. Lots to get to. As we said, our good friend Jay Matnair and Greg Bach on their show, Matnair on Air, 10 to noon. They talked a little bit about this in hour number 2 of their show. We touched on it with Luke Mathers. I want to continue diving in a little bit more on this piece called Notes on the Crisis by Nathan Tonkus, Tankus, where he really outlines some of these dangers of what's going on, kind of cutting through the politics and the hyperbole to the real. And this, you've heard me say a lot of this show, there are a lot of distractions, kind of shiny objects for the cat to get distracted by. This is not one of those. This is a real deal. This is a private citizen without Senate confirmation, without security clearance, having access to $4.7 trillion of our tax money. So I want to discuss that a little bit more this hour. We have a what's worse for you as well. But first things first, we plugged this at the end of the last hour with our friend Luke Mathers. We were up against the clock. I just ran out of time. We were having too much fun with Lukester. And by the way, thank you to Luke Mathers for being here. Now, Groundhog Day was Sunday. And I love Groundhog Day. Unfortunately, we weren't on the air there was this book that my mom bought my sister and I when we were kids called Will Spring Be Early or Will Spring Be Late? A great book for kids and adults about Groundhog Day. So Lukester, who lives out in some prairie, the home of Jimmy the Groundhog, who you and I, Zombers, had talked about this a few years back, bit the mayor in the ear. It was a bloody incident.
A little bit of blood.
And so the groundhog is no longer allowed to be picked up and put up to the ear of the mayor in some prairie.
No, now he's caged.
Now he's caged. But despite that, he predicted, he did not see his shadow and predicted an early spring for those of us in Wisconsin. That's great. Well, of course, the person that gets all the credit or all the big publicity is Punxsutawney Phil out in Pennsylvania. So first, let's play him the cut of I guess the Punxsutawney guy who's reading. We're not going to play. We'll play at the start of the prediction because it's very well written. I want to play some of that, and then we're going to play a little bit of Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro, who is standing up for tradition, standing up for groundhogs. But first of all, here was part of the prediction from Punxsutawney over the weekend.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Now on this February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, the prognosticator of all prognosticators, was awakened from his wintry nap at dawn on Gobbler's Knob. Phil looked to the skies and then, speaking in groundhogese, directed the president to the proper scroll, which reads, "What a way to start a Sunday fun day. You always said you'd make it here one day. To this place barely big enough to contain ya. To this sweet Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. We're all here with the elements combined, where Mother Nature meets Father Time. To hear the truth are those gray skies. Only I know you can't trust AI. It's Groundhog Day, and maybe life is on a loop. But I miss my burrow. I miss my coop. So I'm headed back down. There's a shadow up here. Get ready for 6 more weeks of winter this year.
I love every part of that. It's well written, it's well delivered, and I thought it was well done.
My favorite part is the video because, they're just wearing their like wool coats and a top hat.
Right. Yeah.
And the guy next to the one reading the scroll is, he's got a big old beard. He's holding Punxsutawney Phil, and he just has the biggest grin on his face. He's like, "This is the greatest day of my life."
It really is. I would want maybe next year because it's during the week next year. Maybe we do the show from Punxsutawney next year.
That would be great.
Wouldn't that be fantastic? Anyway, I mean, I know it's goofy. I know meteorologists just despise it. But it's just something that's fun. It's unifying. Nobody gets hurt unless you're the mayor of some prairie who loses an ear. But other than that, nobody gets hurt. Well, here you have, and look, I know they do some good work. All right. But the folks over at PETA, what is it? Something about ethical treatment of animals.
People for the ethical treatment of
Thank
animals.
you.
Yeah.
That's it. PETA. They haven't got enough to do. So they decided to go after Groundhog Day. And so they started calling on people in Punxsutawney, don't disrupt the groundhog. It's very hard on the groundhog's psychological ethos. He needs to sleep all winter. Don't touch the groundhog. But what you can do is you can have a cake, just like a gender reveal party. And you'll cut the cake and then open it up. and one of the colors will be for spring, and one will be for 6 more weeks of winter. That's what the PETA people want. Come on.
So is this cake vegan or is
Right.
it made with milk and eggs?
Thank you. Of course, it would be a vegan cake. If it was for the PETA people. And traditionally, a lot of lefties would say, "Well, we should probably consider that. We should probably consider that." But you know what? There's one Democrat with some chutzpah.
He has the courage to say what's right.
Who speaks the truth. We're talking about Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who was in Punxsutawney this weekend, and this is what Governor Shapiro had to say.
I don't know if you heard about this, but there's some folks who are coming for Phil. Boo. Yeah. There's some folks out there who say we should take this great tradition that stretches all the way back to the 1880s and get rid of Phil and replace him with a cake. That's their crazy idea. Hear me on this, Punxsutawney. If anybody comes for Phil, they're going to have to go through me and all of you. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Josh Shapiro.
Pennsylvania, happy Groundhog Day. Have an amazing day. I love you. Enjoy yourselves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh Shapiro. That's exactly what Democrats need. That's the kind of candidate Democrats should be running right there.
They got to speak to the people.
Yes.
Maybe don't mention that they used to eat the groundhog, but.
Did they?
Yeah, we talked about it a year or two ago on Groundhog Day, where in the 1880s, they used to eat the groundhog after.
Well, that's right, because it led to the discussion about me having eaten squirrel.
Right, that's right. Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. For those of us that grew up in Southwest Wisconsin with squirrel hunting, it's very tasty, actually.
I bet it is. I mean, rabbit is good.
Yes. I think that's great. See, this is exactly what, we kind of laugh about it, but this is exactly what Josh Shapiro, what Brian Schatz, Democratic Senator for Hawaii, was talking about. What he said in this article for Politico. Democrats need to start talking like normal people. Don't go politically correct on every single thing in life. My gosh. The groundhog loves it. Look at he had a smile on his face. His teeth were sticking out. He was so happy you could see his teeth.
No ears bitten.
No ears bitten. It was a great event. And I think I hope it continues. And God love Josh Shapiro for speaking up. All right. Should we open this up or should we wait till we come back?
Let's wait till we come back.
Wait till we come back. All right. All right. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna do a little what's worse, having to do with your energy level. So that'll be fun. Let you call in on that. We'll continue at some point, talk a little bit more men's basketball. And we're also going to go through a little bit more of this story from Notes on the Crisis, from the doggy, or the Doge, as they say, Nathan Tonkus, on how Elon Musk is now has access to trillions of dollars of our tax money. And this will be great. We have a quiz for you today. We might take calls on this as well. Jimmy Carter was far from alone in reaching the milestone age of 100. How many Americans are age 100 or older? Any guesses, Albert? I'll hold that thought. We'll come back and tell you the answer on the other side. It's a Tuesday. It's the Allbaugh Show, and you're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network.
Welcome to Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 WMDX.
Now we've got for those of you on the
For those watching the stream, people are bitter that I've eaten squirrel.
Yeah, Dave in New Berlin says squirrels are super cute. I feed them all summer in the backyard. How the can you eat a squirrel?
Easily. Well, I'm not. We weren't trapping squirrels in the city, Dave. It was out in the woods where they're eating hickory nuts and walnuts, and there are like hundreds of them, and they get big and fat and tasty.
Do your eyes a favor and see this stuff.
When I was living in Appleton for school,
Shame.
no city park that's like a block behind the conservatory at Lawrence University. There are so many squirrels in that park, and I swear
I've never eaten a domesticated squirrel though.
No, me either. But I'm just saying there are a lot of fat squirrels and a lot of black squirrels. Like, and you know,
Really?
I feel
Yeah.
like you normally don't see that many in one place, but there it'd be like 2 on every tree.
There's a place in Wisconsin, in Monroe County, not the city of Monroe, which is in Greene County, but Monroe, which is like where Toma is at. And outside of Toma, there's a little tiny, maybe 1,000 people town, 2,000 most. It's called the Black Squirrel Festival.
Right. I remember we talked about it. We gotta cover that.
Yes. And it's real, you guys. Like there is an inordinate amount of black squirrels in Wilton, Wisconsin. The Black Squirrel Fest. Red squirrels get very fat. You don't see a lot of red squirrels anymore.
My dad hates red squirrels.
Really? Why is that?
He loves to hate them. You know, he jokes about it while hunting and everything. It's just like, oh, is that a red squirrel? They're laughing at me. I'll give you $5 if you kill a red squirrel. All right, 15 seconds. All right, this one goes out to little Jimmy, the groundhog in Sun Prairie. Hang in there, little buddy.
Welcome back to the show, 21 past the hour of 1 o'clock on the Civic Media Radio Network, trying to break out of his cage. Jimmy the Groundhog in Sun Prairie.
He'll get out of there one day.
One day.
I believe in him.
Well, I think my understanding is that when it's not Groundhog Day proper, that Jimmy is a free range groundhog.
I'm sure he is.
All right, so we're doing a quiz before the break. Jimmy Carter was far from alone in reaching the milestone of age 100. How many Americans are age 100 and older? Any guesses, Summers?
I'm going to guess 10,007.
All right, 10,007. They've broken it down here to A, B, C, D. Is it A, 22,000?
Oh, I didn't know it was multiple choice.
Well, I wanted to get before I did this, I wanted to get just your gut reaction. So A, 22,000, B, 55,000, or C 77,000, or D, 101,000 Americans that are age 100 and over.
Well, I'm wrong.
No, I'm maybe. Well, yeah. But which one you're close? So would you say 22 or 55?
Or so what's the population of America is like 300 something million,
305,
right?
308 million, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. And not everybody lives to be 100.
No. No, very few.
I'll go with 55.
That would have been my guess. Jimmy Carter, far from alone and reaching the milestone of age 100. How many Americans are 100 years or older? 22,000, 55,000, 77,000, 101,000. In America today, there are 101,000 people who are age 100 or older. As Johnny Carson once said, I did not know that. That's amazing, isn't it?
I wouldn't have guessed.
101,000. Of those 100 or older, 78% are women, 22% are men.
That I did know. Not the numbers, but I did know it was disproportionately women.
It's incredible. 77% are white, only 8% are black, 7% Asian, and 6% Hispanic. So there's that. Japan has almost 50% more centenarians than the U.S., despite having just 38% of our population. So
Yeah, our
how
life
about that?
expectancy here in the U.S. is not great compared to other,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
other
the Japanese are so healthy. They drink tea and they hike mountains and they eat fish.
We eat fish, but only if it's deep fried on
Right,
Friday.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. There you go. A little hitherto unknown facts from the Ken Lewis U.S. History Department. He'd say that in 7th and 8th grade social studies. Here now, a hitherto unknown fact about Mao Zedong. All right, let's go. Time for What's Worse. We'll open it up.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this.
Time once again for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to win, but your chance to have your voice heard across statewide radio. 11 stations in every major media market. There is no better place to advertise to get your word out than right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, this is timely indeed, as Mike Lucas likes to say, because I think this time of year, some of us, it hasn't been as bad for me this year, I have to say. Get into I'll call it the winter blahs. Now, we're past that December 21st mark, so already the days are getting longer in terms of light. That helps a guy like me. But I think, and also it hasn't been extraordinarily cold most of the winter, and little snow, which is terrible for our ag producers. But I don't know. This has been a pretty good winter for me so far. Of course, now I've jinxed it, but how about you, Zommers?
It's been, I think it's been all right with
Been
that,
all right.
you know.
But
And you got to get a sad lamp. That helps.
Sad lamp. That's sad. So something we get low energy. So here it is. Today is What's Worse. What's worse, low energy or high energy? What's worse, low energy or high energy people? Low energy people or high energy people? What's worse? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app, 855-752-4842. Give us a call. We'll talk. What's worse, low energy people or high energy people? Sometimes it depends like what you're doing. Like if you're in the middle of a meeting or something like that, or if just hanging out together. But some people are just naturally low energy. Like they just kind of like Eeyore. Like, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I don't want to do that.
I think it also depends. Low energy can mean they never do anything. Low energy, if you take it to mean a drier sense of humor and maybe a lower volume, that can be good.
Right, that is true. But then some people are just like, come on, let's go. Lots of energy. So what's worse, low energy people or high energy people? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app, like Brian, listening on WAUK out of beautiful Milwaukee. Brian says, what's worse, low energy, especially when it's coworkers. They get nothing done. Brian from Milwaukee. Dave in New Berlin, listening in, says it depends what the wife and I are doing. Oh,
fair enough. Like if they're getting coffee or if they're going to a movie, you can't be high energy at the movie. You're just going to disrupt the experience. I think that's what he means.
I think that's a very honest answer. I appreciate that. What's worse, low energy people or high energy people? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. I don't know why this popped into my head. I've told maybe this story before on the air, but there was a time in my life, and everybody, I totally believe this. Everybody at some point in your life, you should either drive a taxi or Uber or Lyft or something like that, because it's a great way to get to know people, and it's a great experience, and it helps us all understand each other better. So for about a year or so, I drove Uber as my primary job, and I was working around campus here. I would always like to take people to their event, but not pick them up after bar time. And this college kid gets in with, I assume it was his girlfriend, and they were kind of dressed up. They were going out to the bars, and you could tell they had pregame. And they got in the truck, and he's like, dude, sweet ride. I've never got an Uber that's a truck. Like, dude, like, what's her name? Like, I don't know. Dude, you got to name this. I name everything, like my plant, my cactus. He was a high energy dude. Back after this on Civic Media.
Voice for Madison, real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program?
Swatting hoax confirmed at Kenosha High School.
US or the Civic Media.
What do you mean?
Channel 3000 reports.
For 92.7
confirmed a hoax or confirmed
shots
to happen?
fired report at Bradford High
Madison
School
and
in
Dane
Kenosha
County
was confirmed as a
governments are downsizing
swatting
a program that
hoax.
helps people stay
Police,
in
there
their
was never a
homes
threat to
because it's
students,
federal
staff, or
funding.
public. Everyone
Okay,
information.
They created the Eviction Diversion and Defense Partnership during the pandemic. Its goal is to support low-income renters and prevent them from getting evicted. They can help with rent payments, mediation services, representation in court if needed. They work closely with groups like the Tenant Resource Center and Legal Action of Wisconsin. Since it was created, the EDDP has given $26 million worth of assistance to almost 3,000 households. But now their federal funding is drying up. They've used most of the money, and the rest of it needs to be spent by September 30th, or it'll go back to the federal government. That means when that cash runs out sometime this summer,
I love the fact
they
we're
won't be
still
able
on
to help
squirrels.
as many people and will not be able to provide the same level of support.
Dave says in New
Through
Berlin, my
federal
wife
grants
has a
and
name
leftover
for my,
American
well,
Rescue
you
Plan
know,
Act funds, the
a
Tenant
squirrel.
Resource Center will get nearly $2 million to continue this work.
Dave, you have a high energy squirrel? Is that a squirrel in your
pants?
pants? Or are you just happy to see me?
Anybody who needs rent assistance should apply by March 31st. And today is Transit Equity Day across the nation. Here on Madison buses, you may see seats reserved for a civil rights pioneer. Brittany Merlot explains.
It's a day cities use to promote public transit as a strategy to combat climate change and
I gotta get some
to
Allbaugh
provide
right back.
affordable, accessible, clean, and safe transportation alternatives for all community members. The day coincides with the birthday of Rosa Parks, an iconic figure in the movement for social justice and racial equity. Transit Equity Day was established in 2018 by a network of transit rider unions, community organizations, and environmental groups from across the country.
Today, many Metro buses have a seat reserved for Rosa Parks. That's Brittany Merlot reporting. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The 2025 Grammys are in the books, and the big news of the night was that Beyonce, no last name, won Album of the Year for her country-themed album, Cowboy Carter. Beyonce drew 11 nominations, which gave her 99 all-time, and also made her the most nominated Grammy artist ever. Mrs. No Last Name also won Best Country Music Album of the Year. Kendrick Lamar won Song and Record of the Year for Not Like Us.
Dave in New
Shallow
Berlin.
Roan
It's
won Best
healthy to
Artist.
laugh in
Brady
these
Carpenter
times.
won Best Pop Vocal of the Year for Short and Sweet. Best Rap Album went to Doechii for Alligator Bites Never Heal. Other big talking points from the 67th Grammys, a moving tribute to LA firefighters who presented the last award of the night. And Taylor Swift did not win one single award. You have to wonder if Travis Kelce will still dig her in the big way. She'll be back. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Partly cloudy and chilly today. With high
I just sent
temperatures
Pete
topping
Schwab a
20
message
degrees
asking
and
if he's ever
gusty
seen The
winds, bringing
Lighthouse.
us back to really feeling about 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
We'll see what
Those
he
will ease
says.
tonight, and we get
No, it never
warmer
came up.
tomorrow, bringing a chance of snow in the
What'd
afternoon
you say?
and a wintry
Said no, it
mix
never
overnight.
came up.
I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 18 degrees at our studios.
Unlike both stars of the movie.
Welcome to the Lazy Oaf Lounge, Madison's East Side place for
The
friends
Lazy
and family
Oaf.
to meet for fun and food.
See, the
Stop
Lazy
in
Oaf.
for daily lunch
Oaf?
specials.
Yep.
I thought it was the
Made
oak.
from scratch. And
Nope, it's Lazy
jaw-dropping
Oaf, as in
burgers, wraps,
goofball.
and sandwiches.
Well, that would make a lot more
Fish fry and
sense.
homemade pizza
I'm like,
cooked
what's a
in
Lazy
classic
Oak?
stone hearth
Maybe that's the
pizza
nickname
oven.
Dave's wife has.
Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton
It's
Road
low
in
energy.
Madison. Follow them
Low
on
energy.
Facebook or at lazyoaflounge.com.
Listen to the John and Gordy Show weekdays right here on WMDX, sponsored by Verlo Mattress. Sleep better, dream bigger on a handcrafted, locally made mattress.
All right,
Find
come
them
back with
on Madison's
the
East
regular
and
music,
West
please.
Side
Here,
or
I'm
online
going
at
to talk about this serious
verlo.com.
thing in Kenosha first.
Okay, thank you for saying that because I did not. I had something that was not
streaming
clear.
on
Thank
So.
TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
20 seconds.
John Peterson and Gordy Young.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 34 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Going to get back to our regular show in just a minute. But first, I want to bring an update to you, particularly for our listeners on WRJ and then WRJC in Racine in Kenosha, and also perhaps for people and other people in Southeast Wisconsin who may be seeing reports of this. According to CBS News affiliate here in Madison, channel3000.com, Dateline, Kenosha, Wisconsin, a shots fired report at Bradford High School in Kenosha was confirmed as a swatting hoax, according to Kenosha police. Police said there was never a threat to students, staff, or the public. Anyone with information about similar incidents is asked to contact the Kenosha Police Department at 262-656-1234. Again, the Kenosha Police Department number is 262-656-1232. If you're not familiar with what a swatting incident is, it's essentially where someone calls in a false report. So someone would call into a law enforcement agency and say, hey, I'm at place X. They pick a place and say, I'm here. And they make up something and say there's a shooting incident, or I'm being robbed, or my house is on fire. Please come quickly. Please come quickly. And so the 911 dispatcher calls out the guard and sends all these people. You have SWAT people and other people, law enforcement, you have live ammunition, and you're going to this and you're trained to obviously think clearly, but your adrenaline is flowing, thinking you don't know what you're going into. And then enforcement officials get to this place, in this case, Bradford High School in Kenosha, surround the place looking for a shooter, and it's all a joke, or that's what, of course it's not a joke, but it's all a hoax. The danger is that communication in these incidents can be difficult, because when law enforcement arrives and they start trying to communicate, where's the shooter, and someone, there's no shooter, the law enforcement don't know, well, is that true? Or is that the shooter coming out saying there's no shooter? And ultimately, it increases the risk and chance that someone will actually get hurt and or killed in these hoaxes. It's sick, it's despicable, and it's disgusting. But I can report to you, if you have friends and family in the Bradford High School in Kenosha, that the shots fired report is a swatting hoax. It did not occur, according to Kenosha police. Police said there was never a threat to students, staff, or the public. So thank goodness, thank God, all seems to be safe at the Kenosha High School. We will certainly bring you more as this news continues to unfold. Further reports throughout the day on Civic Media. Again, the shooting report at Bradford High School in Kenosha was a hoax. Never happened. Very thankful for that. 38 minutes now past the hour of 1 o'clock. back into the show. We're still we're working on this. You understand? We have these meetings. We have lots of meetings, and we need to tie up this segment better. And we realize that. So we're working on that. But the thing is still open for right now. What's worse, high energy or low energy people? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Low energy people or high energy people? What's worse? Zombers, what do you think?
This is one of the hardest ones for me to answer
Really?
because at times I can be either, though I think I tend more towards low energy. And when somebody is so low energy that they never want to do anything, it's like, hey, I'm your friend. I want to see you. Let's do something. That sucks. But also, when you just need some time to chill and relax and everyone just like does not shut up and keeps asking you to do stuff, like, I don't know. This is a tough one, but I think I'm going to say low energy is worse because if somebody's too high energy, you can just leave.
Well, that's true. That's true. I think we're in agreement with you on this one, Zommers, as far as I'm concerned. What's worse, low energy people or high energy people? I would tend to agree. The overall low energy is, I think, sometimes harder to adjust to than a high energy person. And it goes, I won't tell the whole story, but it goes back to my college days when I was dating this girl before I had things figured out. That was probably part of the problem. But so we were dating. We'd get together after school, after stuff got done, and I was working at the student radio station, TV station. I was covering Pioneer Sports. I was going all over for that, and it was a busy day. And I'd come after school, go to her place, and like, she'd say, "Well, how was your day?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah, a little bit stressful. I had to, write up this pregame show for the game tomorrow night and get our travel arrangements done. And then I had to fill in for somebody who couldn't make a news shift today. But, had an exam, but happy to be here. How was your day?" And she'd say, "Oh, mine was really stressful too. Like my guppy keeps knocking over the plant in the aquarium."
Wow.
That's not an exaggeration for dramatic effect.
Wow, that's pretty low energy.
Pretty low energy. Pretty low energy.
Certainly too low energy for Todd, among other incompatibilities.
The occasional benefits were nice, but other than that, that didn't last, as it turned out. And of course, low energy, that was made popular by Trump himself during the 2016 when Jeb Bush was one of the candidates in the primary. He famously called Jeb Bush low energy.
Which isn't wrong.
Which unfortunately, it's not wrong. You remember that when Jeb Bush was campaigning with his mom, the late great Barbara Bush, and he said something about his career in Florida, and people just sat there, and Jeb Bush goes, "Please clap."
Yeah, the two most iconic moments for me with Jeb Bush are "Please clap" and the pocket turtle.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, Jebbers Bush was low energy. All right, well, there we go. Matt Middleton says low energy is worse and unwanted in an Elon Musk economy. Well, yeah, that's probably true, right? That's as well. Tyler in Columbia County says high energy when someone is like Hammy in Over the Hedge, who naturally doesn't need coffee, has coffee, all bets are off. Tyler says Hammy is the squirrel in the movie, but not a black squirrel.
So I think it seems like we got more votes for low energy being worse.
Yes. All right.
So low energy is worse.
Low energy is worse. There you go. That's how we play it on the old What's Worse every afternoon. You can join us in hour number 2. Always a little fun, a little lighthearted. Nobody gets hurt. A lot like Punxsutawney Phil. You just have some fun, you understand. Let's see. Breaking news off of CBS. A Senate committee votes to advance Tulsi Gabbard's nomination for the Director of National Intelligence. So if you haven't started, never too early to start drinking at 1:43 in the afternoon. What else we have here?
Pretty sure RFK Jr. is also confirmed.
Yeah, RFK. Well, he passed out of committee this morning, so there's that. That's what's going on. All right, I want to spend a little time here before we go today on this piece called Notes on the Crisis by Nathan Tonkus. Talked a little bit about this, touched on it in hour number 1. Some really, really great reporting here. Talking about Elon Musk and his made-up agency called DOGE, D-O-G-E, the Department of Government Efficiency. It's not a real thing. It's not a department. There's no appropriation through Congress. You can't just create departments. But anyway, in the DOGE, there's this guy called Marco Elez, 25-year-old guy. He is a former SpaceX employee. And here's the thing. A lot of people said, well, Elon should have the right, as Trump's appointee, to have access to review this stuff to find out where we could, make cuts. Well, I got a problem with that, number one, because Elon Musk does not have any security clearance that we know of. It's one thing to just have access to look at this stuff. Well, now, according to this reporting, Elon and his lackey, Elez, have read and write access. Now, I'm no IT tech guy. Others knows that. But I'm smart enough to know that if you have read and write access, that means you could go in and actually change things in the program, the software, what have you.
Yep. Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
For a lot of reasons.
So this access for read and write to and this gets a little technical, called the Payment Automation Manager, better known as PAM, and Secure Payment System, SPS, at the Bureau of the Fiscal Services. PAM processed $4.7 trillion of payments in 2024. So now Elon Musk and his employee from SpaceX have access to $4.7 trillion of U.S. money. Wired, magazine online publication, Wired first reported that, quote, typically, those administrative privileges could give someone the power to log into servers through secure shell access, navigate the entire file system, change user permissions, and delete or modify critical files. Additionally, Nathan Tonkus reports, I can exclusively report that while there was initial hesitation from IT leadership to give them the access, they relented. However, they still believe this was extremely risky, with one member of leadership saying, quote, I've never done anything like this before, unquote, according to a source familiar with the situation. A current IT employee told me, the reporter, quote, this level of unchecked access is critically dangerous to the economy and the government, unquote. When the reporter replied, quote, this is terrifying, unquote, to being informed that they have to write access, the source replied, quote, yeah, it's not good. Read privileges on its own still would have left room for catastrophe. But read and write is, well, it's cut off there, but it's terrible, basically. Oh, apocalyptic. Sorry, part of it was cut off. So read and write is apocalyptic. That's the full quote. The reporter goes on to say it is yet unclear whether anyone at the Payment Application Modernization System or the secured payment systems have been put on paid administrative leave, coerced into resigning, or quit in protest. One senior IT source can see Zucker, or rather this lackey of Musk retrieving, quote, close to 1,000 rows of data, unquote, but they can't see the context because the system is classified as top secret, even to them. No source I have acknowledged of what Doge or Doggy is doing with the data they are retrieving. So they're getting the data, but because right now they don't have top secret security clearance, they can't yet see it, but they do have access to it. A source stated to the reporter, quote, I would report insider threats to the appropriate security channels inside the government, but get this, there is no one left for me to report it to. unquote. There's no one left for me to report it to.
Well, like you said, it's not too early to start drinking.
Reporter goes on, Nathan Tonka says, I would also like to clarify some confusion on social media. The issue with understanding and grasping this system, known as COBOL, is not knowing COBOL as a programming language. It's abstract. The issue is understanding the specific physical limitations to the system and the way that it integrates with business logic. The bottom line is an unelected, unvetted, uncleared person has access to $4.7 trillion. Back after this.
Madison's real
LA Tom earlier on the comments suggested another pronunciation for Department of Government Efficiency, douche.
I saw that, Tom. Can we say that?
I don't think so.
I don't know. We can on here.
Yep.
As Tony likes to remind us, we can say anything we want on here. Doesn't mean we will. But.
By the way, Mark Becker with Rational Revolution has Adam Kinzinger on this weekend.
I saw that. Very impressed.
You may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 608-384-0897. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling
Captain
QC
Morgan and
Kinetics
Dr.
at
Pepper?
608
Captain Morgan, Captain and Coke is good. I've never had Captain and Dr. Pepper.
Oh, no, I am not either.
0897.
Carmelo and
I'm a pepper, she's a pepper, he's a pepper, you're a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Good news,
Dr. Pepper.
you're innocent until proven guilty. If you can pay your
Drink
bill,
Dr. Pepper.
good news,
Aye.
you go home and wait your trial. If you can't, sorry, you go to jail to wait. But sure, you still presume
Don't forget
innocent.
the
Since you can't afford bail, you've lost your
Senator
freedom.
Kennedy, John
That's not
Kennedy.
right.
Oh
And
my
that's why the
gosh,
Bail
yeah.
Project helps
Yeah,
those who
that's
can't afford
fantastic.
it
All right.
while fighting the in-cash bill. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Matt Nair on air.
About 30 seconds.
Civic Media's political editor.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is 9 before the hour of 2 o'clock. Coming up at the top of the hour, a little news, weather, and sports. Sports from our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. I understand that Mike Clemens is going to be going down to the Super Bowl here this week. We may have a report from Clemens on Friday from NOLA.
Indeed, we will.
That's fantastic. Nobody does it better than Mike Clemens, and so he'll be following the Super Bowl. Of course, the Eagles and the Chiefs coming up this weekend on Sunday. Mike Clemens will give us a report on Friday. Looking forward to that. So that's all coming up here at the top of the hour. Then in hour after the top of the hour, I should say, at 2 o'clock, Maggie Dawn in with the Maggie Dawn show today. Looks like Maggie is joined by Civic Media political editor Dan Schaefer for State Slate, a conversation around the political news of Wisconsin. And then Maggie welcomes to the show Judge Susan Crawford. Look at that, Judge Susan Crawford, to talk about a race for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Big show over there at the Maggie Dawn show today. Check that out from 2 until 4. Dom Selfie's show from 4 until 6. And then, of course, you have a Nightlight with Pete Schwaba from 6 until 8. Pete is a showbiz veteran, writer, actor, comedian, tackling, you don't say comedian anymore, just comedian, tackling tough questions like what should I binge watch next? That's what it says. I'm just reading what it says here. I'm not sure whether I'm just reading what it says. You understand?
Pete Schwaba knows what's up, though. It's always a great show.
It is, and I say this often. I always learn something when I listen to Pete Schwaba. That interview with the guy that was on Groundhog Day, the movie That was a great interview. Very, very cool, very chill. All right. And then tomorrow for us, it's a big show on Wednesday, Hump Day. We've got our friend Pat Kreitlow from Up North News Radio. He will preview his favorite Caribbean drinks. He's about to go on a little vacation down to the Caribbean, or Caribbean, as they say. So I'm going to set my rooster and my alarm for Friday, because I have to get up very early on Friday. I'm happy to do it, you understand. But I'm filling in for Kreitlow on Friday on the 7th. And then a week later, I'm also filling in for Kreitlow. You're going to be gone on Valentine's. You're leaving me with Luke Mathers for Valentine's Day.
Just as it should be.
And just as it should be. It should be fantastic. So here now, let me play for you. This is my my alarm set for Friday morning. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, the rooster.
You like that? That is a Salvadoran rooster. Here we go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here we go.
Did you record that?
That was sent to me by my comadre directly from El Salvador. Yeah. That's the alarm clock. So I put that on my phone, and then that's what gets me up.
And it just plays over and over.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, if you don't like that alarm clock, you can eat it.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right. Well, look, what's happening in Washington, like we say, can be a little overwhelming and whatnot. And you got to respect somebody who just tells the truth, I guess. We've talked about this guy on the show before. This is Senator Kennedy. No, not that Kennedy that died from Massachusetts. And we're not talking about RFK, who is going to be the new Health and Human Services Secretary. We're talking about this guy Kennedy from Louisiana.
Yep.
Louisiana. And he's a real humdinger. He's a real humdinger down there. And so he said, was this yesterday or today?
This was last night on Hannity.
Last night we don't play a lot of Hannity clips on here, but I think it just shows the callousness and the cavalier attitude of some of these top MAGA people out in DC. This is Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, who put it down there where the chickens could get at it, and said exactly what he thinks last night on Fox.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
To my friends, with respect, call somebody who cares.
He's like, you better get used to it. Everything's getting shut down. Suck it up.
I mean, it's not funny, but it's just so over the top that it actually is funny. It's so bizarre, right? This dude, Kennedy, can just sit there and say, yeah, we're closing it down. Department of Education, gone. DEI, gone. USAID, gone.
Department of Education, not like that helps him much anyway. Louisiana is one of the worst educated states
now,
in the country.
Jacqueline, our human resource director, is from, and I love Louisianans.
I just mean, clearly he doesn't care about the people of his state based on how the leadership has been doing there, is all I'm saying. Nothing about the citizens.
I just like the accent with the cavalier attitude, because it just fits.
It does.
The guy, and the thing is, he puts it with respect. With respect. I respect you. I just don't respect you. Oh, now here's our friend Rob, the listener. There's more to the cut, apparently. Apparently, he said that, and this might be part of what's wrong with him. Apparently, Senator Kennedy goes on to say that he likes omelets better than sex.
In the same cut?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look this up and find it.
Come on. I mean, I've had me a couple of good omelets in my day, but better than sex?
Some breakfast food is pretty good.
All right, we better get out of here before we're taking off the air. Stay tuned. Maggie Todd is next. We'll be back, I think, tomorrow with Triggy Olson and Pat Kreitlow. Many thanks to Luke Mathers for Tuesday Tangents with Luke's, and all of you for listening. Have a great day. Hang in there, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in. Do not give up. Keep banging your drum. Go Bucky tonight. It's a whiteout at the Kohl Center.
Keep banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
Call someone who cares. Chris Geezy says he sounds like Mr. Hurt from Family Guy. A little bit.
Nicely done, Christopher.
All right. Adios, buddy.
Bye, everybody.